Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next webinar in the Dematic Real-Time Logistics webinar series. The aim of our webinar series is to present ideas and solutions that can help companies run a better business. Today's webinar is around a solution to help you secure and utilize your supply chain assets. Before I start, I just want to reference a blog that happened around the National Retail Federation show in New York recently. The gentleman who runs Supply Chain News or Supply Chain TV went and interviewed a number of people with new and exciting solutions. One of the solutions that he interviewed was around the Apex supply chain solutions, and his conclusion from the interview is that every distribution center in Australia should have one of these. So hopefully today we can walk you through what the business problem is, the solution, and convince you of that same conclusion. So my name is Brian Lang. I run the Dematic Real-Time Logistics business for ANZ and ASEAN. With me today is David Quayle. David is the country manager for Australia and New Zealand for Apex Supply Chain Technologies. And David's going to take us through their solution around securing supply chain IT assets. Just some general housekeeping. The webinar is going to run for probably about 45 minutes. There is an opportunity to ask questions either in the text chat or the question box, and we will offer or answer these questions at the end of the session. So why are we interested in this solution? Why are we presenting it to you? If you look at Dematic's real-time logistics business, in summary, it supplies technology to distribution centers, whether it's wireless LAN, vehicle mount terminals, handheld terminals, voice computers, mobile computers. And one of the questions we are continually asked is around managing these assets. And that question is around both how do we do a better job from a productivity point of view, and as importantly, how do we do a better job from a cost point of view. And we've been providing solutions to that. We believe that the solution that Apex provides is a real game changer in that area. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to David Quayle, who will take us through the solution. David?
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. What I'm going to do this morning is really just give you an overview of the Apex solution, Apex as a whole, and generally why we believe that the Apex Access Intelligent Locker Solution will effectively give you some real productivity proven savings within your business. So a little bit about us. Effectively, we're headquartered in Cincinnati in the US. I run the Australia, New Zealand, and growing APAC business out of Sydney. And our history is we've come from really industrial vending. So this is provision of solutions into industrial, mining, automotive, healthcare for the control of dispensing of MRO and PPE. As part of that, we've become in 10 years, we're now the world's largest provider of internet-connected or even just industrial vending solutions. A few years ago, we also then moved into the intelligent locker field, initially for the industrial market. And through that, we've kind of migrated into the retail, DC, and transport and logistics market because a lot of the challenges are very similar. We're looking at securing, effectively managing smaller handheld devices within an intelligent, simple at the front end, but very complex and robust ecosystem model. I've got about 5 or 6 slides, which will just talk you through really how we do that in the system. So really, when we look at it, what are the challenges and what are we actually trying to solve? What are the problems and the pain points that you'd have within your business that we're effectively trying to solve with this solution? So the first piece that we found is that generally, and dealing with the Dematic guys and with a number of partners and customers in the US, here in Australia, is that the pain is seen to be the same for everyone. Effectively, you have relatively expensive assets that you've purchased and you are giving to employees with very little effective management once they've taken those assets. Also, the check-in and check-out of those items can be fairly labor-intensive if you do try and run some metrics. So what we've found from that, looking through numerous organizations, is that often you will hold a stack of handhelds, and just define, when we talk about handhelds, we're also talking about vote collect units, pick-to-voice headsets, radios, mobile data terminals, in some cases, even mobile phones, tablets, laptops, that kind of stuff. Is that often you may hold a greater stock than you require to allow for a buffer for exceptions. Those exceptions may be devices that don't come back at the end of the shift. They may be devices that you don't know are broken or in a service mode, but you don't really have that visibility of them in real time. So you may hold a slightly higher buffer stock, anywhere between 2 and 5% to allow for those. If you had greater visibility, you wouldn't need that buffer stock. The next piece we see is service swap out of working or non-working devices. Often an employee may, if it's a cupboard, it's a checkout station, they'll bring a device back. No one will check that device to see if it's operable, and it goes back into the box or the actual pool. The next person who comes to take the device will pick it up. They may go to their workstation and find out the device isn't working. So you've got a lack of visibility onto what are actual operable devices in your pool, and you don't really have much visibility as to whether they are actually, or the reason behind the breakage. From a service perspective, we're trying to automate the service swap out piece for those items by ensuring that as soon as the item requires service, it goes into a service pool, and your service partner, Dematic, knows that that item needs servicing. A major driver within the in-store environment and in some DC environments is actually identifying who has taken those devices and the location of those devices within your environment. We know from a number of our retail customers, they will have a pool of devices within the store. When this first shift comes in the morning, they'll take all those devices. An employee, because his primary role isn't the management of that device, it's like filling shelves in the bakery, in the butchery, they'll put those devices down within their work area, but won't take them back to the point they first took them from. When the next employee needs that device, they may have to wander around the store just looking for a device that they can utilize and then effectively register. For some of our organizations, that's up to 20 to 30 minutes per employee per day is effectively being wasted for that. Within a DC, the other option may be you have a large DC. I went to a customer yesterday with a 20,000 pallet DC. You have a central area where you issue those devices from. If those devices fail during the shift, they have to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes walking back to the checkout point, swapping device out and go back to work. That is a cost of productivity. The fourth point here we have, again it comes to issuing, is if you are attempting to create metrics and a level of responsibility to the employee around the device whilst it's in their care, you may have a check-in, check-out area. Often it's a room with some personnel manning that room who will have a manual sign-in, sign-out sheet. To do that, you have a relatively high labor cost of having someone just checking out devices. Or if you have a small amount of people checking out devices, you may have a queue of employees and pickers waiting to get their device to start their shift. Both of those have a knock-on effect of productivity. And then going back to kind of point 5, which really highlights point 3, is it's about reducing employee productivity. You don't pay employees to walk around a store or a DC to find devices. You employ and you pay people to provide productivity to the front end, to the bottom line. Okay. So all of these effective solutions have a knock-on effect to the bottom line, whether it's too many devices from an asset perspective or productivity. And really, we believe we have a solution that solves that and increases that productivity. So, how do we do this? So if you look at your traditional model, okay, your AIDC control, you may have a paper sign-out solution. You may have a first-come, first-served basis where the first person comes in, takes a device, walks away with it, and you just draw the pull down. Both of those effectively provide a lack of real control. A paper sign-in, sign-out is only effective if someone then puts the data actually into a spreadsheet so you can report on it and measure it. Your deployment will probably be, in that situation, fairly passive. What we are trying to offer and what we're offering is really migrating that to a level of asset control which is fully automated. Under our solution, every employee is allocated a device. We know who's got that device, which device it is, so you have 100% accountability for those employees. Ideally, you set the solution up within your DC or your store so that the cabinets, the lockers, are close to the employee's working area. So if you have discrete working areas, you put a locker co-located with those. So they start their shift, they pick up their device, and they're straight into their work road. Both of those drive this reduced hardware requirement, okay, and also this improved productivity. And if you look at the VDC, they came out with a statement last year that says manufacturing, distribution, productivity, and efficiency must increase 15% year on year to be competitive. This, we believe, is one of those solutions that adds into that 15%. It may be not a single solution, but it's part of a solution suite. And then we just have a look at the old technology versus new technology. And for some people, a locked cabinet with a keypad is still new technology for them. Really, we're transferring that to our access lockers. We're providing control either through a keypad or a proxy card, RFID, swipe card, whatever your access mechanism is. We have a barcode reader on the solution so that we can read the asset or the barcode of the asset and we know how it's going back in. So, really kind of just a product list and how we're addressing those pain points I mentioned earlier. These are intelligent lockers linked to a very, very intelligent backend. We have an integrated controller, so the lockers come out, they're ready to be deployed. Effectively, deployment speed on site is very quick. The lockers are only about 400 mil deep. Now, the advantage of a shallow depth locker is in a DC or a store, you can often fit them in what might be the dead zone between the columns. And they also can sit in walkways where they're not acting as too much of an impediment in the walkway. For individual charging, we can put a hole in the back of each individual compartment so you can run a charger cable through. We have two main check-in, check-out processes. We have our standard process and our simple asset management process, which we'll show you a video of in a second. The beauty about the simple asset management process is we effectively choose the device for the employee. If it's one employee role, one device type, our back end, as soon as I have gone through the authorization process and our system knows who I am, it will select the asset for me. The compartment will just pop open. I'll take the asset, I'll walk away. When I come back, it's effectively a reverse of that process. So we're down at 3 to 5 seconds per item for a checkout. Now, compare that to existing solutions, which sometimes, if I have to write my name, I may be looking at 1 to 2 minutes per item. Then the information, because all of our devices are real-time internet connected, the information is available immediately through Trajectory. Trajectory has web access, authorized web access. So at a supervisor level, if you need to see, has David taken his device for the day, or has David got a device because we can't find it in the store, you can go in real-time access. You can also go in and get a full suite of reports which are retrospective from an exception-based perspective. We have a wide choice of configurable machines. Our solutions work from small single-site DCs with 10 to 20 employees up to multi-million employee businesses. Highly configurable, they can be daisy-chained, and we work with our customers and with Dematic to define the best solution that suits the customer. And then we are developing, we have in place a whole range of business analytics and business intelligence to allow you to run your businesses better, really from a metric measurement perspective. It comes down to, if you're not measuring it, you can't manage it. We provide the tools to allow you to manage it and create those metrics. And really all we're doing at the end is we're providing full visibility of all your assets all the time. So this is a fairly quick video showing how the lockers work and really this simple asset management solution. Hopefully this works. Yeah, it's just coming through. Hopefully it's not a white screen of death. So this is one of many videos that we have showing device mechanisms and how they work. You see here the employee scanning his badge, taking the device, closes the compartment, that's it. 3 to 5 seconds for checkout. For check-in, if we require the asset recognition, there's a barcode reader, it reads the barcode. We can ask the question, is it good or bad, so we can define, is it operable, does it need service, puts it back in the system. So really, compare the speed of check-in, check-out, the accuracy of data we're collecting through that simple process compared to your existing processes at the moment. We're trying to keep it as simple as we can at the front end, but with the maximum amount of intelligence and control we can have at the back end. So from a configuration perspective, we can run down to a 9-door locker, up to a 34-door locker, and we can run banks of lockers in DCs. You can spread them out, so as I said earlier, so the actual collection point is in close proximity and locality to the point of work. And part of our solution set is to come up with the best configuration for yourselves. Then we really look at the kind of the output from this. What are the 3 main drivers for the ROI? So we looked at the pain points earlier, and the highlight of this slide is really to show that it's not a single ROI input. It's multiple inputs, and in different organizations, the balance of those inputs will vary, but the compelling final sum should effectively provide you a level of productivity that you aren't achieving today. So if we look at the operational cost piece, okay, so we're really looking at reducing costs, and this is data that we've brought in from some very major customers, mainly overseas to point, some kind of earlier customers in Australia. Really, we're looking at about 10 to 20% reduction in cost. You've got a time management piece from an employee and management. You're reducing your shrinkage. Shrinkage can be damage, it can be service, it can just be devices that disappear within your environment. We have a regular blog that's updated called True Stories, which shows different examples of what employees will try and achieve with different readers. We've seen them hidden in toilet ceilings, in cupboards. You'd be surprised where people would put this. Also from a spares control, under our solution, if a device requires a service, when it's put back into the locker, it is locked out for that employee, and only a manager or your service partner can access that device. So what it means is you get immediate notification, immediate visibility when devices require service. And finally, from a productivity piece in there, your teams are working faster. They're picking the devices up faster. They're bringing them back, so your swap out between devices for shifts is quicker, and they're on the job a lot faster than they would have been. From an inventory reduction piece, really, we've seen up to 15% reduction in inventory. You're reducing your working capital through inventory carrying costs, firmware control, reduced damage. There's a fairly well-known psychological effect called the Hawthorne effect. And really what that says is that if you monitor an individual, they will change their behavior to suit the person that is monitoring them. Works with employees, works with teenagers. It's kind of that model where if someone believes they're being watched, they will change their behavior. So when employees know that they have to check out a device and that device is allocated to them and there's visibility of that allocation, they will often be more careful with those devices. They will try to ensure they don't break them. They won't package them in a parcel and deliver them by accident, which often happens. Then you've got this indirect and direct labor, which is kind of really the soft costs. But often the soft costs are the highest benefit piece when you're managing the devices. You've got travel and waiting time. There's no supervisor involvement. You don't have someone sitting checking devices in, checking devices out. Your management time, you have automated reporting. So as you look at higher up, and if your KPIs start to reflect your asset management practices, management have a very quick method of reporting on device exception reporting on who's using devices, who's breaking the devices. So I said, and we have an ROI that Dematic and ourselves use, and we're more than happy to share that with people. But I say, to emphasize the point, it's not a single point ROI, it's a multi-point, and it will vary. In a store environment, often the soft costs are the one that really drives it. In a DC environment, it may be much more of a combination. And then kind of that ROI, really just running through 3 examples. And I've chosen 3 examples which show the spectrum of potential benefits in different organizations. If we talk about Cheney Brothers, they're a US-based refrigerated food distributor, fairly small in the scheme of things in the US, probably within the Australian market. We deployed at one DC location, had about 150 employees, and they're documenting savings now of greater than Australian dollars, 200,000 a year through the combination of device requirement reduction plus the productivity piece. And that's a printed and published case study which we can share. And then a couple of projects which were really kind of 2015-16 projects. One was for a major UK grocery retailer, about 350 locations, stores and DCs, 180,000 employees. One of their major issues before they deployed was they believed they were losing about £1 million, so around 2 million Australian dollars in stock of devices per year. They had no real visibility for that. We deployed lockers in all stores and all DCs. Their return rate for those devices increased to effectively 100%, and they now believe that they're saving up to £10 million a year through the deployment of the solution. Their ROI was effectively 1,000% within 1 year. Then, following on from that project, we then deployed a solution at a major US retailer, 4,500 locations, more than 1 million employees. We deployed lockers at every store and every DC. Their major metric around that was time saving per associate, and they believe we're saving now greater than 20 minutes per day. And again, that gave an ROI of less than 12 months, and this was a multi-million-dollar deployment. So just to kind of, again, emphasizing the fact that we're talking around a solution that works for a single DC up to over 4,500 locations. The main reason for that, again, comes back to our ecosystem. Our solution is designed to have very robust devices in the field. We can deploy very quickly with a ecosystem that's currently managing over around 100,000 devices actively, 3 to 4 million users, and over 1 to 2 million transactions a day. It comes back to a mining kind of analogy. When they look at solutions, it's got to be robust, reliable, and repeatable, and we've proven that pretty much many times. So the heart of the Apex solution, it's a spoken hub solution, is Trajectory Cloud. Trajectory is a real-time enterprise-level solution, and really it works as our devices are connected in real time. We will run ideally through your site LAN, and we have nearly 15,000 individual companies running this solution, so we're very experienced of working with your IT teams to overcome some of the initial issues they may have and improve the capabilities and the security of the system. We'll run wireless or cellular. In some locations we run a cellular service. But pretty much any device we run is real-time. So you get real-time information, you get highly accurate reporting, and we're not maintaining any software in the field. And from a immediacy and reporting perspective, we can set up the solution so that an individual or a work role can only access certain devices. If you want them to allow access for any device, we can set up alert management that says what device I've taken. Is it within my allowed devices? Isn't it? Have I brought the devices back within my time period? Some organizations have a limit after the end of shift, or they want a dynamic reporting depending upon job roles, so people have individual. We can integrate to your HR platform or your work scheduling platform for dynamic information for that. And then we provide a whole suite of reports that you can create on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, which will give you full information, or they'll just give you the exception reports. There's about 37 fields that come as standard. Again, if you want this integrated to your ERP platform, we have a whole field of standard reports that integrate into our ERP. This is, to summarize that, this is around giving you the information you need simply to run your business as effectively as you can. And we're now developing a suite of BI platforms providing analytics across business, very visual, very geolocated, to allow you to really kind of set your reporting mechanism suits how you want to report the information. We can do heat maps, there's a whole load of visualization tools which are built off a common platform but specific to your requirements. If you start working with yourselves, that's part of the kind of solution set that we can offer.
Great. Thanks, David. That was really good. Obviously, like you said, a fairly simple solution that addresses some real business problems and delivers some real value to a customer, not only across small customers, but across customers with multiple DCs, lots of stores. So really, in summary, if we look at the solution, and we go back to the business problem that you defined at the start, it really goes through and solves those problems. So it helps you maintain the right number of devices for your environment, as you mentioned, dealing with shrinkage and hiding devices, gives you real visibility on which of your devices are working and not working through the check-in, check-out process, and users coming back and indicating they have a non-working device. Clear reasons around warranty and breakage claims, which employees, which shifts, etc. A big thing that we run into all the time, visibility, where are the devices in the store, the DC. We deal with many customers that lose a large number of devices each year, stick them on a pallet, put the pallet in the truck, and away it goes. Reduction in labor costs to manage the devices through a check-in and check-out process, but also a process where the employees have to walk to a central spot to check it in, spend time talking to their colleagues, and then go back to work. And then overall employee productivity, increasing that. So, I think we're really excited about the solution. Like I said at the start, we get many questions through all our customers about, what are the ways that they can better manage their assets, and this clearly is a solution that can answer that question. So the call to action, and hopefully, like I said, the gentleman at NRF, his summary was every DC in Australia should have one of these. We feel the same way. What we'd like to offer everybody is an obligation-free on-site evaluation. So we'll come on-site, take a look at your environment, determine if there is a problem that we can solve, and if there is, do a single-site proof of concept trial for the first 5 companies that register that qualify for that process. So, this is really where we put our money where our mouth is, and basically, if we go through and we think there's an ROI for your business, put a device on site with some KPIs. If it meets those KPIs, you go forward, and if it doesn't meet those KPIs, we take it back at no cost to you. So that's, I think, a really exciting offer. And as David covered, I think it fits across small, medium, and large distribution centers and stores. We did actually get some questions through the process, and what I'll do is I'll just give me a second, and David, I'll just ask you these questions. Fairly simple. Why is the solution so effective?
That's a good question. That kind of comes back to that first piece, is that really what we're trying to define here is our whole keep it simple. And the solution, just the check-in, check-out, the fact that we know who has taken the device, when they took it, and if they brought the device back, that creates a whole roll of benefits at the back end. So all we're doing is just giving visibility to it. It's also so effective because effectively anyone who has devices experiences the same problems. So just go back to that point, common problem, simple solution, highly effective and robust back end.
Great. Okay, good. And I think we sort of answered this one a number of times, but does the solution work for a business of any size?
Yeah, pretty much. In the case studies I showed, goes back to that. A single DC, up to multi-billion-dollar businesses. It really comes down to if the business has the desire to run metrics over their devices and the productivity of their devices, we're providing a solution that effectively will heighten the level and device management under those metrics. If an organization doesn't really have metrics around the solution, there's some change management they would have to go through internally to really kind of use the solution. But we can go down to a single locker, 10 devices. So you're really only looking at very small DC or stores for that solution.
Yeah, because you referenced distribution centers, but I'm assuming the same applies for stores where if you've got a single or multi-store environment where you've got devices, that the solution will apply. And I guess the last question was that we got through is where can I see it? Because people you look at the videos and stuff, but where can I see this in action?
Okay, and look, it's obviously the call to action is if you are interested in register, we'll come out, we'll talk you through it, and you'll physically see. We go to a POC how it was working. But we're exhibiting at the Smart Conference, which I believe is in Sydney towards the end of next month. So there'll be a couple of lockers there to have a look at, to register for the proof of concept. And then we have a full suite of solutions at our offices up in Belrose on the Northern Beaches in Sydney. And Dematic have a couple of devices in Auckland, in New Zealand, if you wanted to see them there. And we'd be more than happy to host a customer coming in, looking through, and sort of talking, physically touching, feeling the lockers.
And you mentioned a blog earlier. Is there information on a blog?
Yeah, we have a Tumblr account, which has pretty much all our PR and magazine and online articles, which are all kind of co-located there. So if anyone's interested, if they just email through, we can give you the link to that account. You can just see anything happening in real time.
Good. Okay. Great. Thank you. So that's it. Like I said, the intent of our webinar series is to present ideas and solutions that we hope will allow you to run a better business. The call to action is if you're interested in taking a look at the solution, seeing if it can add value to your business, running a trial, happy to walk through that process with you. If you have any questions or want more information, you can contact myself, or you can contact David at the phone and the emails on the screen. You can also find more information on our two websites. We've got a couple of websites, Dematic.com and realtimelogistics.com.au, or on our LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus account. Like I said, this is one of many webinars that we run, and hopefully the solution that the gentleman saw at NRF and his statement about applying it to every DC is, we've proved, or we've showed you today how that can be the same for you. David, anything else you want to add at the end?
No, I think basically just comes out, give us a call. I think you'll, hopefully, the attendees out there, you'll have seen and you'll understand the problem. You know, I've spoken to a large number of guys running DCs since we kind of introduced this last year, and it is just a ubiquitous problem. And you know, it's really the reason we're working with Dematic is they see that as well at their customer base, and we both believe this is a solution we can provide that takes away that pain point of giving relatively expensive assets, in some cases to very transient employees who at the moment may have kind of little care and responsibility for that device.
All right. Well, that's the end of the webinar, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you found it of value. We will post this in a number of places that you can find it and be back in contact to talk to you about whether this solution can solve some problems for you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.